Do you feel like you have good financial professionals working for you? I don't think you should ever walk out of a meeting, be it with your accountant, your investment advisor, your banker. You should never walk out of a meeting confused and hoping they've done the right thing on your behalf. And when you're ready to get cracking on it, it's time for you to get empowered to do this yourself. You will come out the other side. I think we get really hung up on what we know today is all we know, like it's everything. But in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you are going to have a very different picture. This is just today.
Divorce can be emotionally and financially overwhelming. That's why I'm teaming up with Sunny Wishart, president and founder of a la carte Financial and a certified financial planner. We will show you how to understand all things money without feeling ashamed, overwhelmed, embarrassed. You will learn more, ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Welcome to Money with Sunny. Let's get into it.
A few years ago, I read a book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. It was great for me. It helped me to realize that I can't do it all. I think as women, especially, we want to do it all. We have this kind of weight on our shoulders to handle things. And money takes a back burner, health may take a back burner, self care may take a back burner, our career advancement may take a back burner. But we're here today to talk about whether you right now know nothing about money, whether you know a little bit about money, whether you have a decent understanding when it comes to money. Is it important to find a person that you jive with, that you connect with, who's smart, who understands money, to help you create a plan, generate abundance in your life, do the estate planning, save, put money aside for our ESPs and our RSPs and TFSAs and stocks and real estate, and I mean, you name it. There's so much. So, Sunny, I want to ask you, how important do you think it is to find a money expert and create that plan for your life?
It can be so instrumental in just, I always call it optimizing everything because you may have a fair knowledge of what you're doing. But as you listed all these products, which is what they are, products, it's really hard unless you're in the industry and a professional to not only know them, but to know how they've changed each year when a new budget passes with the government and the new rooms and contributions and deductions. It's kind of like you can't with all the things we have to do in life, keeping up with up to date stuff on that, which is why so I have a good accountant in my pocket because there is no way that I'm going to keep up with accounting changes each year. But I think before you go on to that, you mentioned that how to understanding finances and working with a professional. And unfortunately, there are a lot of financial professionals that you may have worked in the past or work with currently. You just don't feel that trust with them. They're working with you and they're spouting off concepts and you're nodding along and signing. But the bottom line is, are you understanding? Are they talking over your head? I don't think that's acceptable. And I don't think you should ever walk out of a meeting, be it with your accountant, your investment advisor, your banker. You should never walk out of a meeting confused and hoping they've done the right thing on your behalf. You should walk out of there saying, this is what they recommended. This is what I've decided to implement because you are ultimately responsible for implementing these things and signing on the dotted line for these things. And the recourse isn't there. There are some compliance things and regulation things in place to protect you. But if you're nodding along and you're not understanding, that's dangerous. And that's where you want to really work with someone who's willing to take that time. It's like your health. If you're sitting in front of your surgeon and he's like, going to cut you open, you'll be fine. Sorry. Gonna need to know what you're doing while you're in there.
Been there. And when I say been there, it's been there and then I didn't want to feel stupid. So I didn't want to feel like I didn't understand what they were saying. So we've all heard no question is a dumb question. But unfortunately, I'm sure there's been a time in your life when you asked a question and someone either said that's a dumb question, or they laughed at you, or they made you feel stupid. So now we wander through life not asking the very important questions that we need to ask, not having that confidence. Like, there is nothing wrong with saying, what is an RRSP? Should I get one? And what I think is really important is connecting with the person that you're going to work with. Okay, I'll give you a little personal story here so everybody knows. 5 years ago or so, I realized that my money situation was a mystery. I earned money, I spent money, I've always worked hard, work harder, not smarter, did this and did that, and then realized, wow, I'm 50 years old. And I can't see not working till the day that I die because I really enjoy it. But I wouldn't mind taking some extra holidays. I wouldn't mind, you know, being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Maybe helping my kids out here and there with a chunk of money, and just there was things that I wanted. But first of all, figuring out what you want and then saying it out loud to this stranger and crossing your fingers and hoping that they're going to be half decent at what they do. So what I did was I interviewed about 10 people. I hired and fired 3 people, and then I finally found 1 people. And now Sunny and I are working together here to share with all of you what we know is so important. So no question is a dumb question. And if you feel dumb when you're in that meeting, stop talking and leave the room. End the Zoom call. Like you said, Sunny, it's not acceptable for someone to be talking over your head and making you feel uncomfortable, small. So, what do you recommend, Sunny? If I'm going to try to find this person, or I'm going to reach out to you to possibly create a plan, organize my money, what do I need to ask? What do I need to research ahead of time? What do I need to know? What do you suggest?
The first thing you need to walk into these interviews with, basically, is to be confident that you are not wasting their time. You deserve that phone call. To know that you're not wasting their time, and don't feel bad about that call. You do not owe them the business or to hand over all your investments and buy all the policies. And then I think, Wendy, you were saying, oh, I had to figure out what I wanted. And in financial planning world, we call that your goals. What are your goals? And those are sometimes very clear, and other times they're very muddy. But I can talk to you for 30 minutes about why you called me in the first place. And I'm going to be able to pinpoint at least 1 to 3 goals out of the gates in that call, just on you telling me why you wanted to phone me.
Mhm.
Then we're going to dive into those. This is what I'm hearing. This is what you're worried about. If you're worried about providing for your children, that means let's talk an education strategy. Let's talk gifting and things like that to them to launch them in life. Fine. But you thought you don't, oh, I don't know what my goals are, but I'm worried about. So that's the second thing is we're going to talk about your goals, and a good professional should be able to draw those out of a nice open conversation. Of course, if you're not going to be open with them, you're not going to get very far either.
Hmm. So I'm hearing goals,
Mhm.
and I'm hearing be um, open. Open and honest is really important. So be open, be honest.
Making sure that they're speaking to you in a manner that,
Yes,
and like paying attention to you.
right. Paying attention to you and listening to you, and that you're valuable. Your words are important. Your wants, your needs, what you're looking for is important. So I'm sitting here thinking about getting my money organized. What questions should I ask? in that intro call?
Basically, a lot of things I want to do on that call is drill down the why.
Mm,
Why have you reached out to me? Has something changed in your life?
mhm,
Do you feel like you have good financial professionals working for you? Are you happy with your current banking setup and structure? And
mhm,
do you feel properly represented in whatever way? Like, are your investments okay? Or so I will just ask kind of those types of calls. But the real biggest thing that I like to hone in on is why you
mhm.
felt compelled to reach out to a financial planner.
So maybe somebody in our audience here right now should be considering is, why do I want to get my money organized? Why do I want to create a financial plan? When you're going into this meeting, what kind of an attitude should you have? You need a list of questions so you can compare each person kind of fairly. And then what kind of an attitude do you have around flexibility? How important is that?
I'm a big believer in relationship building and networking. So you're sitting in front of that person for a reason. Someone told you about that person. Someone knows that person.
Hmm.
You're not sitting there. You're not cold calling them. So you're going to go in there thinking, oh well, so and so said they did this with them. They're really good, but still go with your gut when you're sitting there. So yeah, you can do your list of due diligence depending on who you're sitting in front of. I'm kind of a gut feeling person where if I'm going to sit with you in that first meeting and if I feel dismissed, if I feel like I don't have an open opportunity to raise my dumb questions, they don't make
Hmm.
me feel like I'm in a comfortable space. I have insecurities about that from way back in the day and never asking questions and letting things sweep under the rug because I thought, oh, well, I'm not smart enough to ask these questions.
Hmm.
And now I'm very loud, obviously, but you realize sometimes too, it's the person making you feel that way. Have a very frank, open conversation with them. The reason why you're sitting in front of them. Hey, I'm looking to find myself a good accountant. This is what I'm looking for my accountant to do. And do you feel like they're going to be a good representative for you? Understanding where you're coming from.
Hmm.
Because, like, say, accounting, if you're running your business or you've got some real estate. You need to know that they understand the spirit behind everything you're doing and that they're going to represent you in a proper
Hmm.
manner.
Hmm. So that's great. Now, how do you feel about me working with someone my dad referred me to?
I get a lot of those. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing wrong with it is if it's all you know and all you're willing to know. Because I've seen situations where people, yes, they're only going to deal, "Oh, my dad does my taxes, my dad's accountant does their taxes." Well, you've gone, got married, and bought 6 real estate properties. Do you think this person is still representing you properly? Are they the type of accounting firm who specializes in this area? Because accountants have their own little niche, right? Or is he a guy like he's just at H&R Block hamstering in there? So it's not wrong, but it's not right that if you don't keep looking around and make sure maybe ask around, make sure your best interests are being upheld. Speak to that existing accountant about your goals or that existing advisor. I don't like when my investments do that. Well, this is what we do for your dad. That's not right. That's non compliant. So,
What I'm
yeah.
hearing you say is you may need to have an uncomfortable conversation with your dad to do what's best for you. And what's best for you may be to interview a few separate financial experts and money experts and find someone that is in your corner only. But maybe the reason you're not doing that is because you don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with dad. It's always tricky because listen, if you're in a transition, your emotions are out of sight. They're all over the place. It's a roller coaster, and sometimes it's easier just to say, "Yeah, you deal with it." Throw in the towel. What would you recommend somebody do?
Dad's going to do best he can, and his professional's going to do the best they can in the interim. And when you're ready, to get cracking on it. It's time for you to get empowered to do this yourself, which may mean saying, hey, I'm going to move forward with my own financial team because I have a different vision for myself. And, going with the status quo with XYZ, I don't feel is in my best interest anymore, but super appreciate your help in the interim while I got on my feet, which is fine. But you don't want to let that go too long. You don't want to be dealing with the wrong professional too long because it is detrimental to your financial health in the long run. And it is not worth it. That painful conversation is definitely worth it. And they say like hardest things to talk about, like death and taxes, they say. So talking about money and all that stuff, it's tough, but conversations we have to have. So
Yeah, we have to have. You're right. So now, if someone who's listening wants to reach out to you as a financial advisor, how can you help? You'd have your intro conversation, figure out their why, and then how does it look? Let's say we'll do one little scenario. You have a matrimonial home. There's a little bit of money in the bank. You have a job, a career. You have some kids. Where would you take them? How does the process look?
usually in this situation, because it's so extremely transitional, where child support payments aren't sorted out, or spousal support payments are not written in stone, or whatever's going to come from the end final document, I do just start with cash flow. Let's just talk about what money will be coming in your house as an individual and no longer as a couple, and what kind of money needs to go out of your house. And we're going to, like, if you're in the matrimonial home, usually it's important for me to stay in my home. I need my kids to have some
Hmm.
stability. Okay, how old are your kids? Oh, well, your kids must have a lot of extracurriculars going on. What does this look like? What does it look for you to maintain your lifestyle to the extent possible? And let's look at how feasible that is, or how to make that work, and just paint the financial picture. So that's usually where we start, is painting the picture. I do start with a net worth. So I'm going to say we're going to drill down all your assets and what they are. They could be super in flux at the moment. So we're going to look at kind of what you owe, what you own, and then the money coming in and how much needs to go out to maintain the lifestyle. And we're just going to paint that picture. Then we're going to go from there on recommendations on how to make this work.
Okay, so someone would have a fair understanding of whether they can afford to stay in their home, or whether it might be best to leave their home, or might be best to go rent a home for a while, or purchase a smaller one, or do you go into that kind of a detail with a person?
It depends on how important it is to them.
Hmm.
Because sometimes I'm not leaving this house.
Hmm.
Okay, well, all right. This is what it looks like to not leave the house. And they'll often take this cash flow picture we paint, and they'll take that to the lawyer and say, this is what I need to support my children and stay in this house. And then they can work through, perhaps that's provided to them. And that's where I'm going to need them to get their legal professionals involved to talk about, how does equalization look? Can they stay in the home? Do they have to buy an X out? Is he going to be able to provide support payments? Well, who's looking after the kids and in what capacity? So, because so much of that is in flux, it's really hard to really make it a perfect science.
Hmm.
But just to know what's happening and know what you need to stay in the house. And then you're going to go there and work with your other professionals on the other front when it comes to the
Hmm.
equalization.
Okay, great. And when would it be best for someone to meet with a financial expert?
I have done plans for people who haven't broken it to their husband yet, but they're one foot out the door, not necessarily out the door.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was brilliant because
Hmm.
we were able to really drill down, painting a picture of her living on her own with the kids. And we didn't look at any support payments because
Hmm.
she's like, can I just do this by myself? I want nothing. I want to be able to walk out feeling head held high. And I'm like, no problem, let's do it. So it was more just facts. Here are the facts. And then she could take those away and do what she will with them, but to know them and to
So
feel like,
information is knowledge is power. Yeah, so it's never too early.
no, I don't think so. I think it was really great doing it preemptively. I've done
Mhm.
it a couple of times. I've even done it for a couple who spoke to me and said, "Yeah, we're thinking of splitting. What does it look like?" And I just sent them the facts. This is what it
Mhm.
looks like for him to exit the home and to rent a space and support the kids. And it's pretty ugly. It's not a pretty picture.
Mhm.
Um,
It's
doesn't mean
emotional.
yeah, it's not doesn't mean it's the right thing to stay together for the wrong reasons. It's just it can often be a bit of a painful transition,
Mhm.
and it's not forever. I guess it's the other thing to remember when you're exiting is that this messiness is only temporary. You will come out the other side. I think we get really hung up on what we know today is all we know, like it's everything. But in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you are going to have a very different picture. This is just today.
So it's never too early. Right now is the time to reach out to someone to start finding that who that can help you with your finances, can help you to create your wealth plan, can help you to get your money organized. If you're in the midst of a divorce and your husband says, "This is what I'm prepared to give you. This is what I'm prepared to do," and these numbers exceed kind of the federal and provincial numbers that you're allowed to receive, should you fight for more? Should you investigate real estate, investments, stocks, money offshore, that type of thing? What's your thought?
I like to say never accept the doormat agreement. He's standing at your door offering you this verbally. Just nod your head and smile and off you go. Just no, everything must be in writing. So if he's offering up something, say via email or verbally, it could be coming from a very emotional space.
Hmm.
And things can always be undone and redone. And so if it's not done properly and on the up and up, I would be worried about something like that kind of coming back to revisit you in the coming years. I would just say get the proper counsel, legal counsel, even if it's just a phone call to say,
Hmm.
hey, I've been offered this. And that legal professional is going to tell you what your rights are based on what they can picture, what your chances are of getting more or getting less if you went out of the other route. At least have a consult. I'll have clients come to me. I've done their plan years ago, and they're like, my ex spouse has come back. They heard I have a new career. They want retroactive all my money. And now they're
Hmm.
being dragged through the courts. So it's definitely, there's just something to be said for getting it right out of the gates.
This has been a great conversation. There's so much more to talk about. But if you had to give people a few ideas about what they can do right now, you mentioned that you're going to send me over a checklist of questions that people
Mhm.
can ask a financial advisor and a money expert. That'd be great. We'll link that to the bottom of the show notes. And then if you were going to give somebody some great advice, somebody who is struggling through this difficult transition of divorce, what would that be?
Don't wait. Don't wait that long. Like I say, you get some time of grace and then get back on the wagon and get cracking. Especially if it's going in a negative direction. It's okay. It's all fixable, but the longer it goes, the harder it is to fix.
Awesome.
Working with the right experts will help you learn and grow. We will show you how to get into the right money mindset without being so hard on yourself. You've got this.